Hey guys, welcome back to my drum channel. There we're going to talk about the Ludwig Supraphonic. So, you're thinking of buying a Ludwig Supraphonic, and you go on Craigslist, you go on Reverb, OfferUp, all those places, and you're seeing prices probably ranging from about like $375 all the way to like $600. And if you're looking at the chrome over brass, between like $1,000 and $1,200. So today I'm going to talk to you about the things to look for when buying one of these beautiful Ludwig Supraphonics. If some of the parts that I'm going to point out are missing or have been changed out, that means you can ask for more money off. In 1958, Ludwig released what was known as a Super Ludwig. That was the first metal snare drum that they released after buying their name back from CG Con in 1955. From 1958 through 1960, this drum was released as the Super Ludwig with a couple major differences. One, the badge was different. It would have said either WFL in the earliest ones, or it would have had the larger keystone badge with the blue silk screened Ludwig emblem. Another big difference between the first gen, I guess you could say, of the Super Ludwig was that they were chrome over brass. These are known as spun shells, meaning that it was one large disc that gets spun all the way out on a lathe with pressure, making a solid disc with no seams. The Super Ludwigs, the ones that had the chrome over brass, was a flat piece of shell that was rolled and then welded in down the middle, so you'd have a seam somewhere on the shell that was visible on the inside. It wouldn't be visible on the outside because they were polished, but on the inside you'd see a weld seam, along with right here, guys, right there, where you would see the shell actually crimped. It would have looked like, it looks as if, you know, they took a hydraulic press and just crimped the shell, and that's pretty much exactly what they did. So those are the telltale signs that you have a chrome over brass, not to mention the fact that if you would have looked above the top over here, right above the baseball bat arm, there would have been a B. And instead of the baseball bat arm, it would have had the 3/4 inch round knob. Okay, so that's the one that would be selling for about $1,000 to $1,200. Now, back down to reality, what 99.9% of us own is the aluminum shell body. So these came out in 1961. One cool thing, guys, that you can look for is between the brass shell and the aluminum shell, for a very, very short period, they did a steel shell version of it. They're floating around somewhere. I've never seen one. A lot of the literature that I've read regarding the Supraphonic does talk about there being a few steel shells out there. When they went to the aluminum shell, obviously it's going to be much lighter than the brass. Okay, now we're in the aluminum shell area, like I said. So this is what you want to look for if you're buying it. First off, does it have the original keystone badge? That keystone badge would have been used between 1961 and 1968. If it's been removed, take money off. Take at least $100 off of what they're asking. There you go. That would be your keystone badge. Another thing are your imperial lugs. During this era, they used the imperial lugs. It wasn't until like the 90s when you could buy them with a different style. So if you see a 60s, it should have the imperial lugs. It should have 10 of them, and they should all look about the same wear-wise, right? These shells were chrome over aluminum, so they will peel. So that'll obviously affect the value and the asking price as well. But your lugs, I've never seen them peel. They might have had just the, you know, damage from wear and tear, some bubbling, but I've never actually seen them like peel like the shell does. Okay. Another thing that you're going to look for, once again, that is a very valued item on these shells, even though they're never used, the baseball bat muffler. These were used between 1961 and 1967. Between the ones from 61 through 63, early 64, they were going to have a red felt over the top 64 and above through 67, you will see the white felt on top of the actual muffler. I'll show you guys a picture of it. These arms, I just went to the Chicago Drum Show about, I don't know, a month or so ago, and they're selling between $75 and $95. So I would tell you right off the top, if it's missing, which a lot of them are, you know, if it's a big deal to you, know that in order to have another one put on there, it's going to cost you close to $100 after shipping, because you can't buy them anywhere and you got to get them off of one of the websites. You can buy one through Canopus or Canopus, however you pronounce it. They sell a new version of it that I'm sure works a lot better than this. On the outside, it looks identical. On the inside, it's about 85 to 90% identical. Another thing that you're going to be wanting to look at is your butt plate. The butt plate, once again, this is called the P32. On the letter L and the G, they should not touch. So if they touch in the middle like this, like the little feet on the L and the G touch, then you know it's the wrong one, or which is not a big deal, but I'm just giving you like a heads up on that. Now, we're getting to the P85. I'm sorry, the P83. This one was from 1958 through 1968. I'd say about 80 to 90% of the Ludwig drums between that era used that throw-off. So if you see that throw-off on there, you know it's the right one. If it's anything other than that throw-off between those years, you know it's the wrong one. And for sure, as to get some money off, because these range anywhere from about like 100 to about 150 bucks on Reverb. So for every little thing that's missing, guys, because you think you're getting a deal, if you can live with like an off-brand is used to replace that, then cool. If you're gonna buy it thinking that you're gonna, you know, get this for, I don't know, 300 bucks because it's missing the correct P83, and you're gonna buy one down the road, by the time you buy it, you're gonna be right back up to what you would have paid for it if it would have been the original one on the shell. So keep that kind of stuff in mind. Just because you save money in the short run doesn't mean you're going to save it in the long run, okay? Believe me, I've learned that the hard way myself. One of the other big things that you want to look for, guys, in this era is the gates, once again. If you're big on making sure that it's all the correct era stuff, the gates should have the rounded corners, okay? As you can see, this one does, so it's the correct one. If it has the rounded corners, you know it's a true Ludwig hoop of that era. I know that we're using these from about the 50s all the way through the 70s. 80s and above, I'm not really sure what they were using, if they were squared or if they were the rounded edges. But I know for a fact in this era, that's what you should see, and that's what this one has. These are selling for about $50 to $60 on Reverb for a chrome over steel, not even the chrome over brass. If you purchase one of these from 1964 below, chances are that it has the chrome over brass hoops. It's supposed to have the chrome over brass hoops. Ludwig used nothing but chrome over brass through 1964. Some 65s will have it as well, just because, once again, Ludwig was known for using it if it was available. So if you're lucky enough to have a 65 and above with chrome over brass hoops, consider yourself very lucky. A set of chrome over brass, I'd say, would probably be about around $160. So once again, this model is from 1967. This is a 5x14. In 1961, they started doing the 6.5x14. This is obviously a 10 lug drum. Let me give you a little backstory. I went to the guys at Pro Drum, Jerry and Stan, and asked them if it were true that they're the ones that ordered chrome over brass shells in like around 1970, and they said yes, that they were the ones. I mean, there might have been other people that done it as well, but I know they, from their words, they're the ones that said they did order a batch. In early 1970, 71, after Ludwig went to the blue and olive badge, which is the larger badge, they had an issue. Imagine that. Well, the only way you can identify them as being chrome over brass is due to the fact that they had to cut a quarter of the blue and olive badge off the bottom. So essentially where the serial number would go, all that got snipped and then got, you know, riveted onto the shell. And they had to cut it because the hole placement was still for the Keystone badge, so it was too low, so they ended up having to cut it, like I said. Another telltale sign that you do have one of those coveted chrome over brass shells is to look above. You would look above over here, right above the muffler, and there would be a B or a BR stamped onto the shell. That right there tells you that you ended up with one of those really cool blue olive badges that were cut. You ended up with a chrome over brass. That covers some of the early 60s Supraphonics. Once again, guys, if you dug the information that we're putting out, please like, subscribe, and share this video with other drummers or musicians or anybody that you think might enjoy some drum history. And stick around for the next one. Have a great one.